Hey, welcome back to another episode of Open Shutter. It is the first day of summer, and we just had a crazy thunderstorm that rolled through. So thankfully, both our internets are still working, which is pretty important these days in doing these things. So have the pleasure welcoming Gandhar to the program, man. So thanks for jumping on this thing.
Pleasure to be here. Thanks
Yeah,
for the
man.
invite.
If you're following Gandhar Instagram, if you're not, his link is in the description of this video, and some people may think you just came from space because some of your shots are pretty insane, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. But anyway, thanks for coming on. So maybe for the people that don't know who you are, maybe just a quick intro about yourself.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. My name is Gandhar Wazalwar. I am a Toronto-based photographer,
Love
new
it.
to the photography community. Just recently started being active on Instagram.
Okay.
Um,
Interesting. But
and
when did you start shooting though? Like actually.
um, Actually, I can't remember because it was most likely when I was in my teens or early
Yeah.
teens. We just yeah, just whenever I could get my hands on a camera,
Yeah.
I would shoot. And yeah, there was a time when I was not photographing at all.
No.
Um, but then yeah, recently started back up again.
Okay. So there's a gap, eh?
Yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
yeah, um, we had this uh, point and shoot film
Yeah.
camera at home,
Oh, nice.
and I was shooting with that. But we had limits, right? So the primary use case for the cameras was to take family pictures, right?
Nice.
So that was the first goal. And once you have some leftovers, that's when you would get to actually take pictures that you would like. So I would
Right.
take sunrise, sunsets, and flowers
Yeah.
photos, and then started with that. It went on for a long time. Then I went to college and got my hands on point and shoot
Right.
Sony. Um, it was a first digital camera
Okay.
that opened up opportunities. And then after that, I got a gift from my sister, Nikon D3000.
Hmm.
That was first DSLR introduction. Learned a little bit,
Yeah.
but I um I found very limited opportunities, and um, for some reason it just sat there. Was only used on a family meeting gathering type of occasions, and I was busy with studies. So yeah,
Right.
it's at eating dust for about 10 years
No way.
or
10
so.
years?
Yeah,
10 years?
yeah, yeah. Until I
Wow.
got married, we went on a trip to Hawaii. Then
Oh,
that's when I
beautiful.
put it to real good use
Hawaii,
and got
Hawaii solves
inspired.
Hawaii solves a lot of problems, man.
Yeah, so
Hawaii
that
solves a lot
that
of problems.
inspired me. Still,
Okay.
I wasn't really taking my camera with me everywhere. It was mostly
Oh,
phone photography until um, yeah, 20 2021.
yeah. And then what happened in 2021?
2021, my wife gifted me on my birthday uh, a Nikon Z6 II.
Oh,
You
nice.
know, yeah,
Yeah.
she would share my photos before that on Instagram. Actually, she started the Lone Quasar Photography account. It had a different handle before, and she just started posting. She was like, "Yeah, I really like your pictures. People should see this, and I want to share it."
She's posting your photos?
She was managing my account.
Oh, your wife is like
um,
your social media manager.
yeah, absolutely. Did a great job, but that was mostly phone photography. Then she gifted me this Z6 II. Our first trip was to Tobermory, and yeah, that really started
Oh,
off
nice. And that's all from 2021, eh?
2021.
Wow. And then from there, you just started shooting like Astro and things. Like, how did that turn?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't really thinking about Astro. I used to follow Astro Backyard, Trevor. He's from
Mm,
Ontario. Nico Carver, Nebula
yeah.
Photos on YouTube.
Yeah.
Astrophotographers was just casually, watching their videos, seeing what's possible, but
Hmm.
wasn't really considering taking pictures. And uh, just started with landscape, like Tobermoor,
Ah,
beautiful
yeah.
landscape, and the skies happened to be really dark there, and I just gave it a shot. Like went outside, took a couple of
Yeah.
pictures. I could see the Milky Way in the back of the screen.
Crazy.
Like, okay, you can do this. It's possible to just with the
Wow.
camera, and then yeah, I got more into it.
Wow. Yeah. That's a great story, man. What was the what was like what was one of the challenges you had to overcome to like I guess maybe I guess for people that are just like listening or watching, they're kind of like they haven't like they have a camera, but they haven't picked it up. Say for example, for 10 years, like
Yeah,
what
yeah.
advice would you give them to kind of pick up that camera again?
I think the biggest discouraging factor for me was
Yeah.
that, uh, contrary to what people say, it may be debatable, that people say, okay, just start shooting with auto, right?
Right. Right.
And then you take photos and they come out blurry, and you think,
Right.
yeah, I'm not good, and you just, leave it
Sure.
there.
Sure.
The more, at least spend some time understanding exposure, time,
Mm,
shutter speed, and uh, the ISO. Just give it a shot to that trinity, understand a little bit, and then once you start at least playing with those settings, you will start getting some
yeah.
good shots, and that will inspire you to, okay, you can do this. That will give you
Right.
more confidence, because auto, if you are in the daylight and taking stationary like landscape photos, it will work.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the biggest factor, I think, that was holding me back. It's like,
Mm,
yeah, I don't want to read this. I actually bought a book, Photography for Dummies.
nice. I
I
have the same book,
remember.
but I have the same
Yeah.
book.
Yeah, I never ended up finishing it though. It's like, yeah,
I think I gave mine away.
yeah. Practical is better for me, at least. I'm more of a hands-on,
Right. Me
visual
too.
person. I need to see the
Yeah.
output. Then I can learn. Then just
Yeah.
bookish.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like I think I've said this before, but it's kind of like driving a car. Until you actually drive the car, you don't really know how to drive the car.
Yeah.
You actually have to do it. Like you can read all the books and watch all the videos, but you need to
Yep.
actually practice and kind of understand like what you're shooting. Like, are you shooting something that's stationary? Are you shooting something that's moving? Like then you got to change like all your settings. And
Yep.
I think that's what you kind of meant in terms of like understanding your settings. Like what does it all mean, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
at least the modes, right? So aperture priority, um, mode, and things like that. When you
Yeah.
play with the modes to understand the scene, then maybe it will help you more
Yeah.
than full manual can be daunting
Sure,
as well.
sure.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's all part of the process, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So you just practiced, eh? You
yeah.
just gotta yeah, it's
Yeah,
important.
there was a lot of practice, like the shutter count, and still practicing, learning,
Sure.
never stops. But the shutter count for my camera must be over 50,000, or
Really?
I'm sure it's like in 70,000.
Jeez.
I mean, the main shutter count is mostly because of the Astro
Yeah.
photos, because we can get into that detail, but
Yeah.
it's the technique that you use for taking astro photos. Is you take multiple shots, never a single
Mm.
shot, and then
Mm.
so
Well,
that's why you
bring
need
over
more.
here. We were talking about this one here, offline here.
Yeah, yeah.
It's crazy. Crazy shots. Like you went to space, man.
Yeah,
Seriously.
it's a different perspective than what we see in the moon, right?
You do this.
Yeah,
It's
but
awesome.
yeah, the magic is, it's already in your shot when you take it. It's just not exposed to you
Mm.
until you follow a certain method to extract the data. It's
Mm.
hidden in plain sight.
What's the method?
So the method here is actually, I did not take a photo. I took a video. Um,
Oh,
you take videos, especially for like lunar and the planetary or solar. You take videos, and
okay.
then there are software dedicated to this type of processing this type of data, where you would it combines the signal, right? It gets rid of the blurry images and the
Oh,
enhances the signal, and
oh,
then you
really?
can then stack them and combine it. So there are, it has to go through the cycle of at least three software
What's
in
the
order to
software?
come.
What's
Uh,
the software?
um, when it's called the Registax, and then Auto Stacker is another one, and then you would extra get a image like a TIFF file out of it. Then you would process
Whoa.
in something like, you know, Photoshop, Lightroom, or something,
Yeah.
not to add or remove anything that's shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
Like people get scared, or you know, they start looking at you weirdly when you say Photoshop, but Photoshop is just basically to uh, you know, modify the image to get most of it, as in what information is there, you can pull more details out of it. So
Whoa.
that's what we do with the astrophoto. Is the colors that you see here um, are very faint, so
Mm.
our like eyes cannot see, and plus the moon is very bright object, so the software helps you you know, enhance that image.
Wow.
So
Wow. Eh?
yeah, there's a lot more, um, but that's the gist of it.
That's the gist of it. Eh?
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah,
So you just got the camera on a tripod and you're doing video?
yeah, yeah. So the key is to take the video at the fastest shutter speed that you can,
Yeah.
because there are factors such as, you know, environment. There may be a faint cloud. There's a whole layer of atmosphere between us and the moon,
Mm.
so there is always blurriness. It's referred to as you know, seeing, they
Mm.
call it, and that factor controls how sharp your images will be.
Hmm.
So to overcome that, you take the pictures with as quickly as you can, while properly
Mm.
exposing the image, um, and then you get the sharper details.
Interesting. Interesting. We've got a comment here. YouTube user. Gandhar, your astrophotography has been phenomenal. Your recent Northern Light shots were fantastic. I need to learn my stacking for my Milky Way stuff.
Thank
You guys start charging, bro.
you.
All these tips you're giving.
Yeah, thing is, there are so many really good, you know, tutors out there.
Yeah.
The information has been shared, but unfortunately, the visibility is low, I guess. So the education needs to be there, and that part of it. That's why I do it, is to, you know, bring on like increase the visibility, share more.
In terms of like what, like your knowledge, or in terms of
Just the knowledge and the fact that, hey, you can do this with your simple camera and the lens. So
mm,
the astrophotography that I do, I don't use a telescope. I don't even own a telescope. So
interesting. Interesting.
the, the motto is, okay, let's see what I can get with just what I have, rather than, you know, running behind the gear. Because for us, when it comes to astrophotography, there is virtually no limit to how much you can spend, how much gear and technical. It's a lot. It can be overwhelming if you start looking at, you know, the resources, the online community and forums and everything. It's uh, virtually space is, the sky is the limit. So
Yeah, no
just
doubt. You
start
could
with
probably
what we
spend.
have.
Yeah, you could probably spend like thousands of dollars, eh?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is
Wow.
taken with 100 to 400, which is not really you
Yeah.
know, telephoto lens
Right.
that you
Crazy that
can
you.
use with everything
Yeah.
else.
Crazy. Crazy shot.
Thank you.
Even something like this.
Yeah, that's more a bit more advanced and involved. Like if you
Yeah.
thank you. So if you look at the details there, right? Um, yeah, I
Crazy.
when I took the photos and brought back to the computer and actually looked at the data, I even couldn't believe myself. Like, okay,
Yeah,
I
it's
just
like,
gave it a shot, see if
yeah.
it's possible, because I whatever the photos I had seen, people had taken with like very advanced gear. To get
Okay.
those colors is really difficult too.
How
People
so?
use like really specialized filters that work with specific wavelengths of light and then collect just the data from, let's say, coming from space, that's like just oxygen and sulfur and hydrogen and whatnots. But I
Hmm.
haven't used any of that, so without it getting this done is just very satisfying. And that's the knowledge, that's the information that I'm trying to convey here, is that hey, it's possible with what you have. um, and it's 135 focal length too, so not too advanced, not too deep, because the target is wide.
Yeah. Is that the trick? Because the target is wide. Does that help? Like how?
I mean, if you go deeper, like if you use a long lens,
Yeah.
you could probably just fit this frame, like what you had there, because this is the overall like full shot. The last frame was just a crop to show on Instagram, a
Mm.
bit more detail, zoomed in detail. Uh, but that's probably as far as you can zoom, maybe most more.
Yeah.
The Instagram resolution and everything, I have thoughts about it, but
Mm.
so it's possible to even get more detail, and these images, actual like full resolution image, when it comes out of our software, is like probably more than 100 MB to
Mm.
least. um, but it takes long time and dedication and patience, right? So this image, I think it was about 16-20 hours, but
Yeah.
but
Hours.
well, it says 10 hours for this one. The other ones I have taken like 20 hours, but it spans across like months. So whole like since the object becomes visible early in the night sky, like 2-3 a.m., that's when I usually start shooting the objects.
Yeah.
Then you probably, because of the sunrise, and to couple of hours before that there is astronomical dawn, so meaning it starts getting brighter, so you have to stop shooting, so you only get like an hour or two. And then you keep doing that until like it starts setting. In my case, I actually shoot, currently, at least, from my front yard.
So
So
so you're out in your front yard at 2 o'clock in the morning
yeah.
just doing this. Okay. And your
Well,
neighbors know? I guess they don't
yeah,
know.
yeah,
See?
yeah. By
Like
now they
what's
do.
happening?
Yeah, initially they were like worried.
What's
Okay, who is
happening?
this? Yeah, who is this guy with the headlight
Yeah,
and just
yeah,
red
yeah, yeah. I could
headlight
just see
at
it.
the
I could
middle of
just
the
see it.
night?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
earlier,
yeah.
this is recently, right? So I
Right.
moved to my current house in a couple of years ago in August, and before that, though, I used to be in North York. There's a park there. I used to
Yeah.
go out in the park at like just middle of the night. I would wake up, go there at least couple of hours before set up, and then take pictures. I've done photos in negative temperatures, and knee
Wow.
deep snow. But yeah, that's the fun part, and patience and sort of zen. That's when you find your peace. And
Yeah, I mean, if you're out there basically all night doing it, I
yeah,
mean, yeah,
yeah, yeah,
it's definitely commitment. That's for sure.
yeah.
It's definitely commitment. Like, what happens when you don't get it? Like, do you just
Oh,
get upset because you spent all night trying to get this thing and you don't, and you just don't get it?
yeah, it's easy to give up. It's easy to give up. I will
Sure.
tell you that,
Yeah.
like, initially, first year of the photography, if you scroll all the way down, you'll see my first ever shot of Orion. And that was taken with just a kit lens, 24 before I even had a long lens. Um, and I initially took the photos using very basic method, It should be close to August 21. So these are iPhone shots.
Oh, the shadow of the iPhone.
uh, and yeah, this is where it's all
Yeah.
the Z6 II. So that's the first shot of the moon.
Yeah.
Um, Sorry, if you scroll down a little bit,
A little bit.
there must be again, like further below.
Huh?
We
I
skipped it.
didn't. Hmm.
Maybe past it. Yeah, it's there you go on the left hand side. Yeah, that's the first uh,
Jeez.
attempt. So this is
So
wide angle. Then you see all these crazy good photos online, and you see is like, oh, I'm not getting the data, right? And the key with astrophotography is like you just have to spend more time to get
yeah,
good
more
photos.
time.
Yeah, I was just learning about like, okay, what should be my exposure time, because everybody else's system is different, their camera settings, exposure time.
Mm.
I didn't have the dedicated tracker that you need to take space photos for a long time. Like
What's
just a
what?
single shot cannot be longer because the stars, uh, for us, they seem to be moving, right? So
Mm.
we had to take the shot as quickly as we can, but if we take it quickly, we don't capture enough light coming from the stars. So you just
Mm.
have to
Mm.
then push it, or just keep collecting more and more data, and individual pictures will have some part of the signal
Right.
coming from all that crazy amount of space within, and then you combine them. So
Yeah.
this was a quick attempt. It was like a 1 second exposure each frame, and I was still happy with it. But when you set your bar high, or like when you
Yeah.
have examples that have been like
Sure.
people with a lot of
Sure.
experiences. I guess it goes with anything in photography, right? You see
Reality
all
versus
these.
reality versus expectations, right? Like
Yeah,
it's always you always have this thing in your head
yeah. But
that you
then
that you want
then
to get.
if you push enough, then it's not too far away. But like if you are
Mm.
about to give up, it's almost around the corner.
Mm.
Yes.
It's kind of like a life model. You just gotta kind of have to keep going at it, right?
Yeah.
That's probably what like separates a lot of people too, is just the ability just to keep going, especially with this because it's just so much of a commitment to get. Like people,
Absolutely.
I'm sure a lot of people just like give up and
Yeah, I've seen many people who have telescopes. Um, they're just
yeah,
reading dusk because they've tried maybe looking through it, and they saw just the stars everywhere,
yeah,
or like, oh, I can't focus, things like that. So it's easy to give up, but if you persist and
wow,
learning, there is learning curve.
yeah, interesting, interesting. So is there like a better time of the year to do this, like summer versus winter? Like is there just a better time of year?
In Toronto,
Yeah, in Toronto. Well, in
it's
terms of
different.
like the sky, yeah,
Right, right. Well, the constellations, they rise in different times of year in
yeah,
the night sky, so they keep changing, right? So
mm,
in the current night sky, the constellations will be different from the winter sky. So like late fall, early winter, you'll start seeing, Orion, which is the king of the winter sky. Right now, there is Milky Way,
right.
and then after a few months, it's going to change. So you get more targets, the way to think about it.
More targets. Yeah,
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 but as to the
interesting.
weather, um, yeah, it's unpredictable in Toronto. It's really difficult, especially from Toronto, because of the light pollution.
Yeah,
And that's where another like reason, or what I try to do is raise awareness about the dark skies. There is a phenomenal organization, Dark Sky International. They share the information, I reshare it, try to let people know that, hey, not necessarily you need the floodlights lighting up the whole sky for the whole neighborhood, and things like that.
Dark
So
Sky International. Oh, I
yeah,
found them.
yeah.
I found these guys. So they just share knowledge,
Awareness, yeah, awareness, right? They raise
awareness.
awareness. They are on Instagram. Then they
Ah,
share like how you can help. um, And that's why I like the difference is like perceivable. Just travel up north a little bit, you'll get to transparence. That's our dark sky
Right, Torrance.
preserve. Um,
Yeah.
it's not as dark as it could be. We measure the darkness of the sky on a scale called Bortle scale. So
What's it
Toronto is
called?
a Bortle
What's
scale.
Bardo?
Bortle.
Oh,
So
I didn't know that.
there is a map online. It's called um, light pollution map, um, or
No.
dark sky map, and you can see the Toronto is the worst zone, obviously, because all these city lights, if you get away from them, it starts getting darker and darker.
Boreal dark scale.
Yeah.
Whoa, I had no idea about this.
Yeah, so the darker the skies, the more you can see with just the naked eyes. Like you can see the Milky Way as it should be
Ah,
visible. You can even
that's
see
cool.
Andromeda galaxy through your eyes. You can even see the Orion Nebula that you saw just without the
Yeah.
color, right? Just because our eyes can't process and collect that much data. It's like small
Hmm.
lens, right? So you can still see a fuzzy patch on the sky where the nebulas are and the Milky Ways, but it needs darker skies. So Tobermory is great. That's where I could get that initial shot. I guess like in few seconds I could see the Milky Way. If I was to do that
Right.
in Toronto, I cannot. I can almost never get a Milky Way shot here. So
So is Toronto like an 8
yeah,
on that?
yeah, 9.
Is Torrance Barrens like a 2 then?
I
Or a
think
3?
it's close to 3. Yeah, 4
Yeah.
or 3.
So, hmm.
Um,
So where do you go for a 1?
I haven't had a chance to go to visit Tobermory since that first visit.
Yeah.
Uh, but I've been to Algonquin.
Mm,
That's one of the darkest places. If you can be out of that the town area,
okay.
that's really nice. I haven't done any photography there. Last time I was in Muskoka area, Gravenhurst, and I only got like 15 minutes of sky, so that's why like I recently took a picture of Milky Way thanks to Patrick from PK
Mm-hmm.
Photography. Right,
Hmm.
he called
Yeah.
me out, and we went out of the city towards uh, um, I forget the name of the place we bit to the east, but that was my first Milky Way shot. Right, so people start
Good.
usually with Milky Way photography. I couldn't because when you travel, this weather you cannot
Yeah.
predict, and
No.
yeah, especially for us, winter is brutal, just because of the cold as well.
Yeah.
But it's
Well,
mostly cloudy.
what about your batteries though too, right? I'm just thinking
Yeah.
like how many batteries you must go through sometimes.
Yeah, yeah. So you have to have good batteries. I had to buy my second battery right away because if it is
Yeah.
like cold, it has to. Sorry, if it's hot, you're not going to get like your sensor is going to warm, so it has to
Yeah.
be cooler.
Yeah.
Then if it's cold, your batteries will
Yeah. What was that?
suffer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
we also did some astrophotography, or tried to when I was up in Nova Scotia. We went to uh, look up to the Cape Breton. Uh, Perfect dark skies, but I couldn't get shot because of the weather. Recently, though, the top picture that you'll see of a region in Scorpio, that was at in um, down south in California.
On your grid, you mean? Talking about your grid?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just one of the pinned ones. Um, that's the recent one. You'll also see Andromeda Galaxy that was in Kingston. So Kingston is really Thousand Island area. We were in Airbnb, and this is from Toronto. The the next one, um, yeah, this one is from Joshua Tree. Like there's a small town called
Mm,
29 Palms. I took it from there. Really dark
mm,
skies, just from the backyard of the Airbnb, but
really?
crazy amount. Like I could like if I was to take this picture, attempt this picture, because I can't even like First off, it's so low on the horizon that the neighbors and the street lights are in my view, so I can't take this
Right,
picture without going
right,
out of
right.
the town. But even if I was to attend this, it would take me close to 10 hours or more, right?
10 hours.
But this was done in two
Damn.
hours.
Really?
Yeah. So that's how the difference the darker skies make. The
Oh,
next one is from Kingston, Thousand Islands area, and that was like really one of the few ones that I got, and I think this is one of the top pictures you can say,
that's wild, man.
like
That's like Star Trek, man.
yeah, yeah.
That's like Star Trek.
Yeah, just to see it on the your back of the camera is unbelievable. Like you
Yeah,
can actually see it.
like it's wild.
Yeah.
It's absolutely wild. Atmospheric is great app for figuring out what's a night condition would be like for shooting, and the night VR and photos is great as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll tell you the names of the apps here.
Atmospheric, okay.
Um,
So a lot
yeah,
of planning
I
that goes
use
into it.
Astrospheric. I use
Okay, atmospheric,
Astrospheric.
atmospheric.
ASTRO
Yeah,
spheric.
yeah.
And then there's an app that we use dedicated for astrophotography. That's just to be used with um, something we call Star Tracker.
Hmm.
So I will show you for
Yeah,
people
yeah, yeah. Sure,
seeing.
sure.
This is a small tracker. That's the
Whoa.
machine that you align exactly to point to North Pole, and then it rotates along with the speed, matching the speed of apparent speed of uh, the Earth rotation, like the
Whoa.
stars, and then.
Whoa.
To use this,
Yeah.
you need
Can
to
you
know
use it right
where.
now or no?
It's turned off. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it wouldn't be useful
Really.
because you haven't you haven't pointed. So that's why you need a sturdy tripod. You point it on a tripod, find North Pole, then you look through this
Mm.
small scope to point it. And fun fact for you, that the North Pole is not actually where the star that we see, the Polaris, is. It's slightly off that star. So to act exactly match the rotation, and precisely align it to the pole rather than the star, you have to
Right.
use the app. And we use or at least for this I use this polar, like PS Align Pro app. And so now you'll see that the inner circle that you see,
Mm-hmm.
um, and the star that's highlighted there, that's the Polaris, and then the
Mm-hmm.
actual pole is slightly off.
Really?
So then that's where
Really?
you look through the device. You match the North Pole, and it depends on like when you are shooting, and then you start the machine, and then
Whoa.
you mount your camera on it and things like that. So
Really?
it's a technique.
It'd be
Yeah.
really cool to see that like in action.
Yeah.
Like do like an actual tutorial how to 'cause that's super cool, man.
Yeah. Yeah, and then within that app, it's a really nice feature. I use it the most. It's called Weather, and then it has weather sources from different sources. It combines it. There is a pro version you can buy, so it can in pro version in Astrospheric, where it combines these sources and gives you the data, but you don't have to buy it. The one that I find more reliable than any other is something called the Medio Blue. There's
Mm.
um, an option here in this app called Medio Blue, and
Okay.
then if you use it, it shows you the low, high, and mid clouds, and the wind, and the like when will be the best time. You can time accordingly, like when will be the best time to take the
Hmm.
photos. So as you can see,
Jeez,
not
man.
much a
You're NASA,
good
man. You're
chance.
NASA. You're basically NASA at this point. We're
I mean,
basically going to
we're
space, man.
wannabe, right? So there's
Yeah.
a guy on Instagram there. His name is Wannabe Hubble. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
so I mean,
it's basically NASA at this point. I mean, what do you like more? Do you like the planning part or do you like the shooting part more? Because it seems like there's a lot of planning that goes into this thing too.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, I can try to plan, but it's hardly in your control many
Yeah.
of the times, right? So at times I might have two or three different targets going parallelly, just because of the weather and the time, and that you didn't get enough time on the target this year, so you have to park it till next year and then combine the data.
Oh
uh,
man.
but also, like, the clouds may show up on certain side of the sky, and the
Yeah. And then
other
what?
side of the
And then what do
sky
you do?
is wide open, so then you just change your target. So it's you can plan, you can hope the plan works out, but you have to change your plans and just keep at it.
Man. Imagine Newfoundland next week, horns from clear dark skies. I don't have a clue how you get this fancy glasses odds. I'm a Milky Way boy.
Yeah,
I'm a Milky Way.
I can guess, I think, who that is, but
Is it DJ? Because DJ
yeah,
never has his name up.
absolutely.
I'm just guessing. I'm just
Yeah,
guessing.
yeah, I mean, yeah, yeah, he's amazing. And I'm sure he'll get the shot. And um,
Newfoundland, eh?
you can
It's not the
try to get
spot.
multiple shots. It's not easy to it's not too difficult, sorry, to stack Milky Way photos, right? So the Milky Way photo that actually I have in my grid that I ended up posting, rather and then there's a portrait, but the landscape one that I have primarily there on the grid is just a single shot. uh, if you have dark skies, it's possible to just take a single shot and have that. But you had to, like, do some post processing to, like, again, squeeze out the detail that you have, but it's certainly possible. But even if you don't and you take multiple shots,
Mm,
just take shorter exposures so you don't have as much trails, but try to get 15 seconds or something like that, depending on the
yeah.
focal length, right? And then you can stack them. It's a free software on Windows. One is Sequitur. That's the
Really?
easiest to use.
Okay.
um,
Free,
and
eh?
then yeah,
Interesting.
yeah, or there is another one, that Deep Sky Stacker.
Yeah.
It's also free.
Wow. It's pretty popular niche, eh? Like Astra. Like
Yeah,
a lot of people are into like it's
well, it's growing, right? So that's a
yeah,
great thing.
interesting.
On Instagram, I was surprised
Hmm.
initially when I hopped on, like, okay, how many people are actually getting into it? And the credits to the YouTubers, right?
Yeah.
They started posting, like,
Like
Trevor has started, like, long time ago, and
yeah,
other people, and then more YouTube channels are coming up, more
sure.
tutorials, more ways
Yeah.
to learn for
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, like you said, you just want to provide awareness, right? Of like the
Yeah,
whole thing.
yeah, for sure.
Very cool, man. Very, very cool. What's your next spot to shoot that you have lined up?
I don't. I don't have like destinations. Like, I don't plan
Yeah.
destinations for
Yeah.
photography. Uh, I just go out wherever we plan,
Yeah.
and then just be ready to
Just ready to
take
go?
pictures. Um,
Man.
if there is a chance that, clear, there will be, you know, there are darker skies and good backyard to a B&B or a location, then I will take my tracker with me and equipment. Otherwise, just go out with the lenses and the camera for landscape, and
Yeah.
just anticipate. But you just have to be ready. So you'll see
Gotta
me
be ready.
often taking pictures out of the pilot seat, sorry, the co-pilot seat, from the car.
In the
Yeah,
car
or
while it's
yeah,
moving?
or yeah, or you see something, yeah. Or you, it's
Really?
not always possible to stop, but if possible, you stop and take the landscape. So if
Yeah.
I have a shot of, like, a green grass on one side, and uh, a grass, dried grass on the
Yeah.
right hand side,
Right.
that was taken from the moving car. um,
Really? Oh, is it? Trying to find it. Let me see if I can find it.
yeah.
Was it Algonquin?
No, it's just, must be somewhere up north, maybe, if I remember correctly, on the way to Monocliffs or something like that.
Oh. Let me see if I can find it. Let me just put this up. Is it up?
Uh, Further down, these are recent shots from Algonquin. Yeah, there. So on the left hand side, um, scroll up there. the
Oh,
green. Yeah,
uh,
that's a shot of.
ah,
Just keep
from
the shutter speed
interesting.
high and your um,
Yeah, yeah,
f11 or f8. I
interesting.
can't remember. And
I like how the fence divides the frame.
that's what
I
drove me
like
to
that.
take the
That's
shot.
cool.
Yeah,
That's pretty good eye, man. From a moving car, it's pretty good eye.
yeah. Thanks.
That's nice. That's nice. Yeah. Like, do you like print your stuff too, or?
I haven't yet printed.
Yeah,
I've been inspired, and it's in the
yeah.
plan. But
You gotta get Patrick to help you out with that.
yeah,
You-
yeah, I know, DJ. Thanks for joining. Glad to see you there.
um, great shot though. Very cool. Very cool. Would you ever go to space, like yourself? Actually,
Would I?
imagine. Yeah, if
Would
you had the
I?
chance, would
Yeah,
you go to space?
yeah, in a heartbeat.
Would you?
Ooh, yeah, why not?
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I can only imagine the view from up there, right? Like, we have all
yeah.
this light pollution in the atmosphere and everything. These things just go away. That's why Hubble is up there. That's why JWST is up there.
Yeah. Well, they're trying to make space tourism more affordable, whatever that means. You still probably you probably still need a couple million, I guess. But
Yeah, if it happens in our lifetime, and
imagine,
yeah, we'll
imagine you
see.
got your gear up all there. It's like gotta shoot something.
Yeah,
Jeez, man, that's
yeah.
crazy. Um, what's your favorite space movie?
My favorite space movie.
Yeah,
Yeah, many of them just have incorrect information. The Martian is my favorite.
The Martian
Yeah,
with Matt Damon.
yeah.
How come?
I don't know. It's just it has some scientific basis. It
Is
might
it?
have, faults, but it's a well directed movie. Many people like
Hmm.
the Odyssey movie.
Yeah,
For me, I haven't seen it. I started watching it, but
you
I
gotta
don't know.
watch it, man. It's a great film.
Didn't end up finishing it. Yeah.
Mm, it's a great film.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean Mars is definitely interesting, but I think Mars is kind of like Mars is kind of like a commitment too, right? A little
Yeah.
bit of commitment.
Yeah.
You got
Space is all about time. Like, how much time do you have?
how much time? Well, time is all relative, I guess, too, right? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
interesting,
Like this.
interesting.
Like this podcast, how much time do you have to talk about
How much
Astro?
time?
Keep
Yeah,
talking.
yeah. How much time you talk about? Like, what is space? Like, what is it even? Like, what is space? I don't know. Crazy when you
Yeah,
think about it, man. Like, it's just
yeah.
we. I don't think we really know yet.
I mean, that's how I started, right? So it's not a spontaneous hobby for me that I just pointed it to the sky and took the picture. When I was
Yeah,
growing up, I had good influences and read a lot about scientists and was more into physics and astrophysics.
man.
I had a good mentor, GV Butera, back in India. He had a small scope, and uh, my dad introduced to him. He was his good friend, and he gave me his books on astronomy. Somebody recently asked me on Instagram, like, any recommendations on the book. I gave a recommendation on the first book I read, and that means inspired me a lot. Like, just
What's
how
the
much
book?
is out there.
What's the book called?
uh, yeah, fascinating astronomy. Uh,
Fascinating Astronomy.
yeah,
It's an old book or like a new book?
yeah. It's by Patrick Moore, I think, or Peter. Yeah,
Fascinating Astronomy.
yeah. So
Um,
on Amazon, he has a new series. I don't think you can find the old book anymore. It might be too
hmm.
old. But and then yeah, so just books, and then visual astronomy. A lot of it. He lent me his telescopes whenever I would see it. Then somebody knew that, hey, I know about the stars. Then they invited me for camps, like the school camps. They would take the kids for
Mm,
camping. We would take the
yeah,
telescope. I would show up as a guest speaker and show them the moon and the stars and tell them how to find
right.
directions, and they were like all fascinated. And that's the huge payoff. I recently did that with this with my coworkers too, when we were on a conference. And just that look, just that, you know, moment where people realize, hey, it's like, you know, so that's how it started actually. And then
Interesting.
I
There was a
didn't have access
connection.
to, yeah.
There was a connection there
Yeah. And we had good night, good skies, good dark skies. Luckily, growing up in a small town in India
in
at the
India.
time,
Yeah.
there was no not much
Mm,
light pollution, no not like street lights, and the older street lights were
yeah.
actually better than the LED lights for light pollution. Like you just get
Really.
that blue light versus the sodium light. It's actually better.
Wow. Interesting. Yeah, I guess there is a sort of like connection that you get from doing astro. Is it like? Would you say it's almost like spiritual in a way?
It's peaceful for sure.
Mm,
And I mean, just what growing up again, there used to be many more shows, especially I'm not sure if here, but in India too, like on Discovery and National Geographic, they would have a
mm,
lot of shows. They would show Stephen Hawking's talking about space. There were shows where, uh, like, you know, they would show Carl Sagan's shows, and I would watch them. I wouldn't. I actually, yeah, I couldn't understand most of it because of the language barrier, or like, you
right.
know, the accent and whatnot. That,
Right.
like, it's a different English in India.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but I tried, and you know, like that's just try to understand and just see it. That
Yeah.
kept me going. It
Mm.
had to come to a break when I came to the States for study. But then, yeah, eventually I caught up.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, no doubt. I think, yeah, you're a good example of just being able to kind of like keep going with something, even when you haven't picked up a camera for in 10 years.
Yeah,
You just kind
yeah,
of like came back to it and just okay.
yeah. I mean, even same for landscapes, right? It's
Yeah.
anything and everything needs dedication and patience.
Mm.
So, for example, I'm still learning the landscapes, and but it's frustrating at times in Toronto area because you don't
Yeah.
have like those Instagram worthy
What do you
huge
mean?
mountains
What do
and
you mean?
landscapes.
We
We
got
have urban landscapes, right? We have I mean, that's what I try to do mostly, is just make the most of what you have
okay.
rather than chasing. Like I said, I don't have destinations planned because, you know, there are good destinations, but there's so much to explore around Ontario. That's what I try to focus on first, and then, you know, we obviously go to destinations like, you know, Palm Springs. I went because I had conference, but we went to
Yeah.
Nova Scotia, we went to Tobermory, we went to
Right.
Banff, and that's when you
Right.
take pictures. And
Yeah.
but those are rare and few and far between. Not everybody's DJ, but
Yeah, DJ.
but yeah. So just make most of it. Like the weather, like it's so easy to complain, and that I am guilty of it. Is that I find it, you know, uninspiring at times. But when you
Sure.
actually go out, just
Yeah.
take your camera and, okay,
Yeah.
if you have bad weather, just take close-up shots,
Yeah.
moody
Well,
weather
black and
shots.
white. Make it
Yeah,
black and white. Make it moody. I think also because we live here, we just that will
don't appreciate
well
it.
we don't really we basically take it for granted, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Because we
that
live
happens.
here.
Yeah.
You know,
So
if we lived in Banff, we'd be like, ah, we'll do it next week.
yeah, so you won't find those like, you know, tourist destination photos in my library as much.
No, no.
Uh, Joshua Tree is an exception so far, I think, because that's where I went, and
Interesting.
that was like really alien landscape, I said,
Yeah.
and I had to. But yeah, mostly it's around here. Like
Yeah.
the the sunset after the storm in Sibald is a memory, and I think I have a shot there, or actually it's a
See if
couple
we
of
can
shots
find
from
it.
there. Um,
See if
but
we
that
can
was
find it.
completely unexpected, like all gloomy day, and then
Mm.
how it turns around, and then you get that magical light at the sunset. Like if you have unpredictable weather.
Yeah. All right. I'm trying to find it.
Yeah.
Is it further down?
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. So those three photos in a row there, just above the deer.
Ah,
So the middle one, the one to the right, is my favorite
nice,
composition
nice.
tool.
Cool.
It's yeah, you
I
don't
like.
expect.
Yeah.
It's, you can't plan it. I guess you could spot and
You can't plan
bookmark your
it.
locations, but
Yeah.
then you have to like
It's
really
a
be.
timing thing. It's a timing thing.
Yeah, people try to use the weather apps, and
Yeah.
I see like Thomas Seaton and Nigel plan
Sure.
using
Sure.
applications,
Sure.
but
Sure.
I don't.
Yeah. Yeah. You can. Yeah. You can't plan. You just got to be there and be ready to take the shot because
Yeah,
you got to get the light just right.
yeah,
Yeah. It's nice, man. It's good. I like how you said it's not like you're not really about like the tourist destinations, which is interesting
yeah.
because you're
Beauty is
still,
everywhere.
yeah, like but you're still shooting the area. Like it's still like it's you're still kind of like documenting what's there. It's just not the typical shots that people want to see, I guess, or are used to seeing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. It may be coming from another perspective, right? I'm not chasing views or likes or follows
Mm,
or those big giant landscapes. I mean, if I could get those pictures, if I am there, that's great. But you know, it's not about that. It's about what I saw and was worthy of capturing or caught my eye. I would, I will take the picture.
yeah, because you're doing it for you.
Yeah, and sharing the joy. So that's the
Yeah, and trying to enjoy. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Well, it's important to like to do that because if you don't do it if you don't do it for yourself first, then I don't know. Then what's the point kind of thing? That's my
Yeah,
opinion.
I mean, I'll tell you a little bit of story if you have time.
Yeah, yeah.
Just
Go
when
for it.
growing up, like there was a small shop in my town, and that guy would all he would sell is frames, like that you would hang
Picture
up on the
frames.
wall, picture
Yeah,
frames,
yeah.
and mostly he would have landscapes or like photos of some people, like celebrities or politicians like Mahatma Gandhi and people like that. But along with that, he would keep landscape photos like waterfall and sunrise, sunsets. That's, I think, was my initial inspiration. It's like, oh,
Mm,
look how beautiful that looks. Or we would hang up these uh, art on our wall, just buy these, and we didn't even frame it back in the days, I guess. Just hang it, and I would see it everywhere. Like we would visit, and just that store, I would actually walk by and spend some time looking at those.
yeah.
So yeah, that, I mean, in a way that I would want my pictures to be like that,
Mm,
right? So
kind of like your goal, I guess.
yeah, I haven't done that with my own pictures yet. My wife keeps asking me about it, but
Yeah.
I am a very picky guy, so it's
Are
hard
you?
for me to pick the
Oh, to pick
photos.
the
Like,
photos that you want to print.
yeah, like
Oh,
all of my photos are my favorite. What do you mean? Which one to hang? Like,
yeah.
I have a big
Oh,
TV screen, so I can keep changing the photo that I like on it. But one
yeah. How you gonna
one
pick?
photo is
How you gonna
difficult.
pick? Maybe you should have your wife pick.
Yeah, that's what I keep telling her.
Maybe just you pick. Maybe pick three. Pick
Yeah,
three,
yeah,
and then
yeah.
go from there, right? Or even make like a photo book.
That's a good idea.
Make like a photo book of like the astro stuff.
Yeah, so that's
That'd
where
be
we are
cool.
headed, I guess. Have a website. Maybe people would want to have it on their walls too. So we'll
You
see.
never know, man. You just never know.
Yeah,
Why not, right? People. I mean, it's so unique, right? Like you don't see it. You don't see it all the time.
yeah,
It's different, so it stands out.
yeah. I try to
Yeah.
be unique than taking just like pictures that others are taking or everybody's
Yeah.
taking.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. It's tough these days to be unique. It's difficult.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
in a
difficult. It's
way,
difficult.
yeah. When I like I seriously started looking into like using Instagram last
Yeah.
December. Like
Last December.
before, yeah. So before that, I told you that my wife was
Yeah.
posting on my behalf, right?
Yeah.
Then I installed it on my
Right.
phone. I was like, let's see
Right.
what it's about, and
Right.
maybe do it more seriously on a regular basis, like because I have thousands of photos that I haven't shared.
Yeah.
And then I started looking to photographers, and it's overwhelming. Uh,
Yeah.
it's good for inspiration, but sometimes it can be like. So I used to follow close to 1,000 people. Now I
Yeah.
unfollowed the creators
Yeah.
because uh, I don't want to be influenced in a way that I would take the same pictures as others. Um, I
Mm.
would I would get inspired by creativity as in the general process, but not the exact type
Oh.
of photography or
Oh.
shots.
So you want the process, but not the result to get inspired by. Is that what
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
you're...
if people are taking just the foreground, a big foreground with the wide angle and the mountains, I don't want to do that photo.
But you don't even want to see it. Is that what you're saying? You don't even want to see the photo because you don't want to like
I
somehow.
would let it come through my feed, but I won't necessarily, because if I follow somebody, it will
Yeah.
constantly in my feed. I would
Right.
once in a while go to Explorer
Yeah.
and then try to scroll through what people are doing, or like oh, maybe
Yeah.
these are the possibilities, or what are people doing. But that I think in a way that that's
Mm.
why it's called influence, right? So you don't want to have that inadvertently influence you.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting.
because
Interesting
you have,
approach.
yeah, what's your originality, right? So
Well, that
finding,
I was just talking about this the other day. Like, is there anything original? Like, truly?
you are
Like,
influenced in a one way or other from here and there, but yeah, it's some subconscious. um
yeah. Like, it's
and
tough to say. Like, is anything actually original anymore these days? Like, truly original? I
yeah,
don't
it's
know.
like music, right?
It's like
um
music.
is it has possibilities, and it is certainly possible to be original.
But every artist is influenced by another artist because they always ask the artist, "Who's your inspiration?"
Yeah,
And they'll say whoever.
yeah, yeah,
So I don't know.
yeah,
Interesting, man. Interesting approach on that. Yeah, that's cool. It's I never thought about that way either.
yeah.
But it's working for you though, obviously, right?
I would like to think so. I mean, the only feedback I have is on Instagram, and
Yeah.
people around me. I used to think that people, like friends and family, they will, they will give you feedback. They will be honest.
Sure. Sure.
I
You would
don't know
hope so.
about, yeah,
It's tough
or
though.
they can encourage, like my parents. It's just like, yeah,
Yeah.
everything is good.
Everything's
So
great.
it's hard to tell, right? And then they
Yeah.
open it to people, and then maybe you'll get honest feedback. So that's what
Mm.
I'm actually looking for. But it's hard to tell.
On
But people have been giving
Instagram?
me, yeah, on
You looking for that
Instagram.
on Instagram? Oh, okay.
It's just I guess some sort of validation. Like I
Validation.
recently
Well,
did,
yeah, of course. We all want validation, man. We're all human. We're all people.
and inspiration. Like if somebody likes your photo, even if the photo doesn't have 100 likes, just as one, that's more
Yeah.
than enough for me. Like somebody did like the photo
Yeah.
other than myself.
Well, that's what I mean. Well, that's what I mean. Like, you got to do it for yourself first because once you put it out there, then you have no control. So
Yeah,
if it gets one like, if it gets 1,000 likes,
yeah,
as long as you're happy with it, that's all that really matters. Because it's hard because you can't please everybody. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you just can't please everyone. So you got to do it for yourself first, and then whatever happens after happens. But that's where people get stuck sometimes because they want that external validation, which is we all want that. But if you're doing it just for that, then things might get a little bit tricky.
yeah. But it's hard to, like, I mean, it's easy to fall into, for example,
So easy.
the trap, or
We
have
do it all the time.
or feel bad about you. So like, oh, I'm
Of
not getting
course.
great shots, right? So in
Yeah.
that case, the Toronto photographer community, I really have to praise them, especially Patrick DJ.
Yeah.
They're like constant encouragement, and like
Yeah.
just watching them, like keeping at it constantly. The travel,
Hmm.
like other people on Instagram. I don't follow, like I said, many photographers, but like Mandy,
Yeah.
Beach Punk from,
Yeah.
I think she's from Toronto. Just travel and
Yeah.
storytelling. I can,
Yeah.
like, I'm not into street photography, but
Right.
that's like really, you know, it's inspirational, and like just
Yeah.
motivates you to go out there.
That's what it's about,
Take
man.
photos. Yeah,
That's what it's about. It's about just meeting people and kind of enjoying doing what you're doing.
yeah,
Just having fun, right? I mean, it's so simple sometimes, but sometimes I
yeah,
think we kind of lose that sometimes. But
yeah.
but yeah, man, we're kind of up against the hour, so I just want to say
Yeah.
thanks for coming on this thing.
Thank you very
Hopefully,
much for having me.
hopefully, any final words for the people out there?
No, just I guess be free. Don't put
Be
yourself
free.
in a box. Society puts rules and
Okay.
boxes and calls it landscape photography or urban photography. If you have to mix urban with astro, do it.
Oh, I like
Be
that.
original.
Mix the boxes up.
Yeah,
Well, that's good. Well, thanks, man, for coming on. Really enjoyed it. I'd love to have you back on at some point.
absolutely.
And thanks everyone for watching, listening. Spotify, Apple, YouTube, wherever this thing is. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Okay.
Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Peace.